In other news, which is the focus for this half hour, as far as Andhra Pradesh government's promises are concerned, and this is with respect to youth out of job. They launched the youth unemployment scheme 6 months ago, which is the Mukhyamantri Yuvanestham scheme. It was launched amid much expectations. It promised a basic allowance of 2,000 rupees per month to those youngsters who are unemployed in the state. Mira now, having travelled to Vijayawada in Andhra Pradesh to find out if this scheme has worked and what's the impact on the youngsters.
The streets of Vijayawada, about 40 kilometers away from the upcoming capital Amravati, is bustling with activity. Many young voters are looking at this election on what was promised and what was delivered. 4 years after coming to power, the Andhra Pradesh government launched one of its manifesto promises, an unemployment scheme called the Mukhyamantri Yuvanestham. The scheme was launched in October with just a couple of months to go for the elections.
We've already completed the 5 years of government time. He started at the time of starting government. I sent the 10 lakhs government jobs and they didn't provide the jobs. And Nirudyog Bhriti giving the scheme of, but the scheme is before the 6 months of elections they provided.
The scheme, which initially promised 1,000 rupees monthly allowance, was later doubled to 2,000 rupees for unemployed youth. The scheme had 4.3 lakh beneficiaries as of February 2018.
Skill training is skill training from the starting of the education, graduation skill training by implement unemployment to unskilled persons చాలా మంది ఉన్నారు. అదేదో మీరు ఇచ్చేది డిగ్రీ నుంచి మీరు స్కిల్ పర్ఫార్మెన్స్ ఇస్తే చాలా బాగుంటుంది కదా. ఇప్పుడు అన్ఎంప్లాయ్డ్ మొత్తం 95-80% are unskilled persons. So that's why no one are able to get job.
While the scheme also has skill development programs and job placements, some students believe the focus should be on job creation.
4 yearsలో అసలు అన్ఎంప్లాయ్మెంట్ అసలు ఏం లేదు అసలు మామూలు చెప్పాలంటే. ప్లస్ ఎక్కువ జాబ్స్ కూడా తీరాయి 4 years. లాస్ట్ 2 monthsలో నుంచి అంటే ఎలక్షన్ వస్తుంది కాబట్టి 2 monthsలో తీస్తున్నారు జాబ్స్ ఇప్పుడు అనమాట. సో ఇప్పుడు తీస్తున్నా మళ్ళీ ఒక నెక్స్ట్ ఎవరు వచ్చినా అంటే రేపు ఎవరో ఫ్యూచర్లో ఎవరు వచ్చినా వాళ్ళు కూడా 4 years ఏం చేయకుండా లాస్ట్ 2 monthsలో ఇస్తే లాస్ట్ 2 monthsలో చూసుకుంటే 2,000, 1,000, 2,000కి ఇంక్రీజ్ చేశారు. ముందు ఉన్న కొంచెం మంచి ఉన్న వాళ్ళందరికీ యూజ్ అవుతుంది అనమాట.
Netas campaigning for the elections say otherwise.
This scheme is just not about giving the 2,000 rupee per month, but the scheme more entails to actually giving them skill upgradation, then linking this to actually the companies that are investing in the state. So we've seen almost 1,000 people already been taken out of the system and they've been gainfully employed. So we believe that this is just the first step, and 500,000 people have now come on. Nowhere in India has this happened. And we in Andhra Pradesh have actually shown the way on how this can be executed.
Well, a report from CMIE very clearly says that at least 25% graduates here in the state of Andhra Pradesh are unemployed. In fact, people we spoke to also said that the unemployment scheme launched by the Naidu government in October 2018 called Mukhyamantri Yuvanestham is just an election promise, and more needs to be done to develop skills. With video journalist Pradeep Balachandra for Mirror Now.
All right, youngsters, they're of course calling this an election gimmick or an election promise just 2 months before the country goes into votes. Our correspondent Amita getting us further inputs here on this. Amita, this is of course as far as the basic income is concerned for those youngsters who've been unemployed. But when it's a question of asking the government to prepare ground for creating jobs, it once again goes back to that allegation against the centre on why Andhra was not given that special state status, could not bring about that development, could not create these jobs.
Well, that's correct. In fact, a lot of youth we spoke to very categorically said that while this is good on one hand that 2,000 rupees, in fact, that amount which was 1,000 earlier was doubled to 2,000 rupees this year itself, was just rolled out just 6 months ago, is good news. On the other hand, will it continue is the big question, considering this has only come in 6 months before elections. This was something that was promised by the Naidu government all the way back in 2014. So what happened in the last 4 years, post that 6 months ago, we saw a launch of Mukhyamantri Yuvanestham scheme. More than that, people we spoke to said that skill development, for instance, or creation of jobs within the government sector is something that they are looking at, and that is not seen, especially here in Andhra Pradesh. If you look at a recent report by CMIE, very clearly says that 25% of graduates are still unemployed. So that is a big question a lot of young people have been asking.
What really is the TDP strategy then this election season? How is it going to polls? In what nature of promises here that is it really making to the youth? If jobs really is top of the mind, top of the agenda for the youngsters in Andhra Pradesh, how is the ruling TDP dealing with this then?
Well, Seher, two things. One, of course, is the fact that this has been launched so far, according to the TDP government itself, in February. More than 4 lakh applications had come in. So that was the information that the finance minister had provided as of February. And the fact that so many allegations have come in, we've seen how both Chandrababu Naidu and the finance have rubbished these allegations, saying that this is not just an election promise. This will continue, going forward as well, and that they will look at skill development. But more than that, they have also been riding on the fact that there is no special status that was given to Andhra Pradesh, like you pointed out, and that has been one of the major things that the TDP has been talking about in all of the election speeches, and how it, of course, came out of the NDA just a year ago, and the fact that the special status has not been given, and if you look at the fact that in the last 5 years, despite the fact that there was no special status given, that is another election promise that's coming in, not just from TDP but all opposition parties as well.
All right, interesting input there. Amita, stay on with us. Let's get in a word here from political analyst Mr. MC Das with us on the phone line. Thank you for being with us, sir. Mr. Das, do you think this is once again going to be a predictable retort that because Andhra was not given that budget of a special status, it couldn't provide for that development and therefore not being able to provide more jobs? Okay, we seem to have lost that line. We're going to be getting in more such voices here. But this very clearly, what has been established on what is the top of the mind, at least for the youngsters going to vote this election season. Mr. Das, if my voice is going through, if you heard my question there, please go ahead.
Your voice is very clear. Please. Hello?
Yes, Mr. Das, we're looking at what are the kind of promises now being made as far as youngsters that are concerned, because top of their mind continues to be joblessness. There are no new jobs that have been created. Even the scheme which provides them a basic 2,000 rupees per month, which is of course based on various conditions as to who would qualify to avail of that 2,000 rupees per month. The larger issue is on what can be promised for creating those jobs for the youngsters today.
Madam, the unemployment in Andhra Pradesh is very acute because 27% nearly of the unemployment percentage is around 27%. And I tell you, the special status is not the only solution for that one. The whole strategic planning is to be made, how to utilize the resources. Andhra Pradesh has plenty of the water resources, like 1,000 kilometers of coastline and rich forest area and rich mineral resources. I think the central government and state government have to focus the attention on the utilization of these resources and provide employment. There are plenty of unemployed graduates and who are ready to work as daily laborers. They are daily laborers. They're ready. MTechs and BTechs are ready to work for any job. Take up any job. Even as what shall I say, auto wala or even rickshaw wala. And even
but Mr. Das, and what you're quoting, that's not the best of situations to have our educated and qualified a lot of youngsters be doing these jobs, which is far below than what their education is.
No, the employment opportunities, for those who are uneducated and less than fifth class, there plenty of employment for them. 400 times better than the educated youth. So here the planning is to be made in such a way, especially the new state. Except Visakhapatnam.
Okay.
There are no opportunities.
Right. No, not sure we agree with that point here.